This summer, warfare came to the grounds of Radley College. The snap, crackle and pop of blank ammunition and coloured smoke canisters was the Army's contribution to Services Day, an event whose purpose is, quite simply, to recruit, not only from Radley, but from any schools in the area who could make the journey. But catching them young has always been a successful ploy of the armed forces. The public schools are important to the services, but so are the services to the public schools. The Ministry of Defence will give almost £1,500 each year to an officer or ranker to help him put his child through boarding school. 9,000 officers and 4,000 other ranks are helped in this way. It costs the taxpayer £32 million a year. The relationship is nicely illustrated at Radley College, where 47 of the 600 fathers are serving or former officers, and from where 1 in 14 Radleyans go on to one of the 3 services. Radley also has a combined cadet force, compulsory until a boy has passed his proficiency. A quarter of the school is in the Army section, and another quarter is split between the Navy and the RAF. Some like the CCF, but Hugo Chapman certainly does not.
I hate the CCF, and I repeat, hate, because I really loathe it. We have to do it on Wednesday afternoon. When Wednesday comes along, there's a sort of sickening dread when one wakes up in the morning, because one has to pull on your trousers, which hurt, and your prickly sweater, and your rough shirt.
Alan, I really would get out of the way if I were you. You're
and you have
to
be bossed around by sort of NCOs, who are people you don't respect at all.
2-6.
And you do things that seem absolutely pointless, like tying ropes and learning navigation, things I'll never ever need.
There's a very strong feeling, which is shared by the armed forces, that any activity which is just plain boring is no good. And the armed forces do look on the CCF as not a recruiting agency, but an agency which is going to sustain interest where it exists and assist people who may want to go in the services. Because they do feel that via subjecting people to extreme conditions one way and another, the sort of qualities which would be important in a fighting man can be brought out.
You've got 4 round top pegs there.
Kind of change when you get in the CCF. You have to take your hands out of your pockets and you have to look smart and you have to salute the uniforms. I hate it, is all I can say.
Oh, hands.
English literature is littered with the biographies of famous men who claim to have been miserable at public school. And if not miserable, most boys go through a difficult 2 years, known at Radley as the Middle Passage, or the dark tunnel of adolescence. Hugo Chapman is in the middle of that tunnel. It's dark in front and dark behind, and particularly bloody in the middle, because Hugo has to attend one's CCF camp, and to his disgust, he's put his name down for canoeing and fell walking in Scotland.
I don't know why I put my name. I sometimes wonder, kind of toss and turn my head, think why I did, especially as I draw nearer to the whole affair. I don't really know why.
Keep the other end down a bit. Just lift them up. Hello, thanks.
The typical Navy, dull, sort of boring person is the one who will excel in the dank tents and the general bloodiness of the whole affair, while I will suffer and swear and sweat and spit and kick and be generally pretty bloody to everybody, I think.
Would you like to lose that somewhere in the back? Just sort of hung in at the side of the seat. Harder. No, don't hang on to the handle. If you hang on to the handle, the door will never shut. Who has moved the car key? Oh, that's right, I found it.
We've got some pretty fair rogues around, and people who in the environment of the school will tend to be always trying to play it off against authority and so on and so forth. And one never quite knows what's going to happen when you get those sort of people out in the wilds. On the other hand, if it works right, very often they produce the best company and the most lively sort of party, and the party which gets stuck into its hills and its canoes more than those who are less spirited and less anti-establishment.
Up the M6, squeezed into the college Land Rover and trailer, 7 canoes, rations, cooking stoves, camping equipment, 8 boys and 1 master, John Dalton, who teaches classics, but who for the next 7 days is receiving service pay as Lieutenant Commander John Dalton, Royal Naval Reserve, (CCF). They pitched camp on the banks of Loch Tay in Perthshire.
John? In there, yeah? I should stay in bed while we cook some breakfast for a bit, I think. It's nasty.
I think that it is very important in some ways for many of our boys to discover that fairly basic food and cold and damp and generally really thoroughly unpleasant conditions don't in any way need to impinge on one's enjoyment, and to learn that it is possible to be uncomfortable, as I frequently am myself on this sort of trip, without feeling that the whole thing is a misery. And many boys who come to Radley are the sort of people who live pretty sheltered lives in pretty comfortable areas and who don't know this. And if we can help them to discover this, then we may have taught them something which enables them one way or another to get more fun out of life in ways that they would never have dreamt possible.
So a week of roughing it begins. 7 days in Scotland that might prove the making or the breaking of Hugo Chapman.
Now, the general aim... Oh, we've all got out.
Where's this nasty bit?
The general aim is that you see where there's a whole lot of waterfall-y things across the middle?
Yeah.
Well, to the right of that and up a bit, there's a cliff under which the water's very close to the edge and where we couldn't actually fish you out. Let's go down...
You don't go right on the other side of the island?
No, you don't go on the other side of the island because you won't get round that way.
So
let's go down...
left-hand side on your canoe?
So it's left-hand side all the way. Yeah, let's go down and start over up at the top and walk down.
Right-hand side of the
No, it's left-hand side as you're going downhill.
This is it.
Live happy, die young. Live unhappy, die young.
If you want to go over it, you have to come down, well, obviously where you come down.
Yeah.
And then...
There's a lot of self-discipline is required, and one is asking people to do things which are, in many cases, very frightening for them. Particularly canoeing down rapids is a very frightening experience for those who haven't done any before. And jumping in and out of icy rivers to rescue canoes is physically a very exhausting and pretty painful operation.
What you've got to be careful of is getting swept sideways onto that rock. What about the rock? You go... Well, that's why I think you may be better coming straight on.
Is that rock not going to harm?
You'll go over that.
At this stage, the boys are naturally apprehensive, for the water they will soon enter is defined in the canoeist's Bible as grade 2 to 3, that is, fairly vicious whirls, cross-currents and eddies with treacherous stoppers. A stopper is a wave that flows upstream.
The first day will be the worst day. The first day canoeing. That is going to be the really bad day. I'm not that good a canoeist, and I am actually scared I might get hurt.
Now it's Hugo Chapman's turn.
Well, up. See you around the corner when Julian's caught up with you.
Hugo is about to come face to face with his coldest and wettest fears.
Well, we have left everybody, including yourself, with a hell of a problem now. You'll probably be able to walk there, particularly if you come down this way. It may be a bit deep. Anyway, get that rope on there, and we'll see what we can do. Bad luck. Well, if you get swept past, come into the edge again. I shouldn't go into the middle before you have to. Keep to the right a bit. Well done, Hugo. Got it through. Have you got the end through? If so, swim ashore with it. Well, the canoe is broken now. So if we can break it completely, then we can get two halves out of the river. Well, the alternative would be to take him round the other way, pull the bows round since it's snapped. Now, have we got enough rope to get round down over here? Yeah. We're drifting round into this. All right, we'll bring him round in here. Yeah, I think we could take it in two halves. I don't think it'll be any harder to mend in two halves.
It's already in two halves, practically plastic.
Right.
John Dalton is nicknamed the Admiral, and fortunately, the Admiral knows all about salvage and repairs to sunken wrecks. These craft are homemade in his garage. With resin and rolls of fiberglass, he'll weld the severed stern to the severed prow.
Right, so... Right, get changed where necessary. Hugo can come and collect the other bit of canoe, or some paddles or something from over there, please. Then we get a brew on. Whose boots are they? Well, why are you wearing them then?
Because my boots are over there.
Well, go and find... No, Hugo, go and find your own boots. Because we get in absolute shambles if we start wearing everybody else's clothes.
Well, look, Bunny.
Feel like a new man after that.
Did you actually crash around? Didn't you go through the deep bits? Did you just sort of go?
I just didn't go any. And you know, the Admiral, he says you can go down backward ferry glide. It's an absolute fallacy. I couldn't even control myself. And if you can backward ferry glide,
Oh, Josie came through, no problem.
Sam?
Yeah?
Are you drying? Warm?
Yeah.
Because I think the brew would be quite nice.
yeah, I'll help him, sir.
That's a good idea.
Oh, God.
It took 2 hours to bond the fore to the aft, and some time to set, so that it wouldn't spring a leak amidships.
Thank God for that.
That's it! Well done! Well done, Hugo! I am leading at the moment to show you how fast to go. Therefore, you should be with me. When it's your turn to lead, I'll tell you where to go. The answer is somewhere straight up that hill. And you, predictably, are going, or trying to go, far, far too fast, as you would just kill yourself. Left, right, left, right, left, right is about the right speed. Aim up this dike, will you? Following in the footprints as far as possible. Yeah, cross a bit. Can't get it straight.
You're showering us.
Well, that's just too bad. Unfortunately, gravity takes its toll.
The second part of the week they spent at an approximate angle of 45 degrees on the fells not far from Balquhidder, in the lovely Rob Roy country around Ben Cruachan, which in Gaelic means the mountain like a haystack.
Can we go?
Now, we're not staying for more than a second up here. It's so fabulous, so you really don't want to just immediately dash off it.
It's a real bit of fun, I tell you.
The buckies,
Don't know about that, but it's nice.
It's a bit chilly up here.
Right, here we are then. Oh, try getting in focus. That helps a bit. Well! I've got a superb picture of you, which is absolutely nothing at all, except about that much of a hat.
Really?
Yeah. We were about a mile pissing about, you know.
Of paper if you want any, but I shouldn't buy too many.
Exactly.
We had to put a complete sequence in, didn't we? You know. Hugo looking brave. It's all very easy. Hugo going in for splash, even though it was monstrously out of focus. I was rather pleased with that, actually.
So my mum got thoroughly sick of my stories, actually.
How brave you were.
Brave and manly and generally tough.
I can't work out which I was then.
He was quite good. He was serious yesterday in Scotland.
Hugo, have you got a minute?
A minute?
Yeah.
For me?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Emotion.
This invitation to a heart-to-heart has arisen because Hugo's mother has written a worried letter to the warden, setting out how difficult Hugo has become at home.
He just seemed to shut himself away and not wish to do anything, not wish to participate, except to upset people, mainly his mother, which was good baiting ground, and to a certain extent his sister. And he seemed to be rather miserable. Well, it doesn't help family life if you have one member who's extremely dissatisfied and bored and can't do anything about it, and they won't cooperate. They won't do things with the family or initiate anything themselves. I mean, he just was isolated.
And in Scotland, for instance, and the sort of thing that I wrote was, well, here was a bloke I expected to be bloody pain. I expected to say this bloke is a shit, frankly.
Really? Oh, that's very kind of you, sir.
And this is what I expected to end up saying, because the general sort of impression that one gets of you around here is pretty much that sort.
Why is that?
Not from me, but from the sort of people in authority that one talks to.
What, in common room?
Yeah. And if you mention H. Chapman, they say, yuck. Well, those who don't know you very well do. It just seemed a bit of a shame that in Scotland one saw a bloke one thought was a bloody good bloke, but yet around Radley he doesn't give the impression. Now, this may be Radley's fault.
I don't like the whole public school, or I suppose educational thing, kick at all. In no way.
But yet you've got to be educated, and you accept the necessity.
But I don't like it so much. I sort of don't like this setup.
And if I was sort of putting on my schoolmaster's hat,
yeah,
I'd say, Chapman, go and find yourself some things to do.
Yeah.
Get interested, get involved, get busy, play games, all that sort of thing.
I mean,
and anyone normally says that sort of thing. And I'm not saying that to you at all, because that would be pointless.
If you're not a great scholar or a sportsman, one is, here, one is left very much to,
your own devices.
Your own devices.
Yes.
And that's probably why Common Room doesn't like me, or
some
members of Common Room don't like me, or the HPs probably don't like me, because I do not like being pushed around, which is something one has to live with if one is to survive at public school. The thing is that I want to get away from school, and then when I'm at home, I want to get away from home, which is so I'm always glad to go back to school. The holidays become. For me, I don't mind them, because I'm perfectly happy, being bloody minded to
your mum,
to my mum or anybody else.
But it's not a very charitable way of living.
Yeah, right. And I become, bloody bored all day, every day, relieved by nothing. I hate being nagged at, and my mum's a great nagger. And so it's a sort of, that the whole thing. I mean, it obviously leads to a lot of friction. Getting nagged at all the time and not doing it.
Which must make holidays pretty miserable.
It makes it miserable for her a lot more than it does for me. There's nothing that can be done. Either here, I don't think nothing can be done here, or at home. I don't know why she wrote to Dennis.
Well, presumably because she was very upset.
Just she's sort of frustrated by the whole situation and the fact that I just refuse to do things that she sees as, vital for
family happiness.
Family happiness.
So, in effect, because you're there and they argue about you, you're not helping them as far as they're concerned in their relationship to each other.
No, that is it.
Which is a very sad thing, actually.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one obvious way is for you to make sure that you have as many things to do to take you out of the house in the holidays, because, and in many ways, presumably, if you sort of sit back and think about it, you feel, not in your stroppy moments when you're having an argument with your mum, but if you think about it, you feel, well, gosh, here am I, and I'm responsible in some way for upsetting things here. Would it be helpful if Dennis or your tutor or somebody suggested to your parents they do let you shoot off in the holidays for some substantial period of time?
Yeah, I would like that a lot. I mean, coming from Dennis, because, I mean, my parents, sort of Dennis said cut off, right hand, they probably did it, so that would be fine. Coming from him, if he felt that was all right.
Well, look, Hugo, if you'd like, I will motivate the Great White Chief to write a suitable letter.
Well, I'm rather glad I didn't have to see this great man himself, actually, because I was dreading that one. Yeah, it was inevitable, I think, that she'd write. She's a great one for writing, all that.
In any case, we will see what we can do, and we will report back, as they say.
Right. I hope he writes a nice letter.
He will do. Very good at writing letters.
Alex, yep. Where are you going?
It would be presumptuous to say that Hugo Chapman is any further out of the dark tunnel of adolescence. But a year has passed, and in that time Hugo has roused himself to pass 8 O-levels and win a drama competition. And a flurry of letters between parents and school did result in his getting a job on a building site in Hitchin in the holidays, where he lived in digs with what he calls ordinary people. But he still feels cut off, in a middle-class home and in a middle-class school.
I haven't changed my outlook towards Radley at all. I just now know I have to spend my time here. I think what gave them that thing was that I got good A-level results and I did well there. I think I didn't do that because I was a reformed character. I did that because I wanted to get good A-level results. Nothing really to do with the fact that I had a better outlook on Radley or anything of that sort. I think people who here tend to forget that they'll be branded for the rest of life as a public school boy. Yeah, I think that's one of the main things I don't like. I don't like being involved with something that I despise and think should be stopped. I wish I could go somewhere where I could meet different people with different views, different backgrounds, and they had different ideas about things. The whole idea of Radley is to mould you into a sort of person that they like. I mean, I want to develop and not be developed by other people.